You did? Ah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so now it's time to start our webinar. So hello, thank you very much for your participation in our webinar today. My name is Satoshi Takayama. I'm one of the co-founders of our company, Fenetre Partners, and I'm also an advisor for the industrial machinery and components sector in Japan. And here is another co-founder and managing director, Yasushi Hasegawa. After I introduce our company, he will do the main part of today's presentation. The topic of the webinar today is strategic alliances and partnerships in Japan. Okay, so please go to next page. Yeah, so it's about the combining the strategic options of partnerships and outsourcing for optimizing your business operation and its cost in Japan. But before we start our webinar, we'd like to let you know one thing. At the bottom of the Zoom screen, you can find the Q&A panel, question and answer panel. So during our presentation, if you have any questions about our presentation or Japanese business in general, please use this Q&A panel to ask your question. Then we will answer to your question during the presentation or at the last part of the presentation. Also, if you have questions about specific industry or about your company's business in Japan, please contact us by email to reserve a separate online meeting with us. You can find Yasushi's email address in the invitation email of this webinar. It is hasegawa@fenetre.co.jp. I will type his email address in the chat box later. We are happy to answer to your questions and support you for your future business in Japan. Also, after the webinar, if you'd like to have a presentation material, please send an email message to Yasushi, then he will send it to you later. Okay, thank you. Then this page shows the today's agenda. Yasushi will explain cost analysis for having your Japan team, types of partnership, case study, small start and lean operation, and Q&A, question and answer. Okay, then please go to the next page. Thank you. So with this page, I'd like to introduce our company briefly. Our company, Fenetre Partners, is one of the leading consulting firms of trade, investment, and international marketing based in Tokyo. Our clients are medium to large size companies, mainly from the US and Europe. We also have many clients of overseas governmental organizations to support trade missions and foreign direct investment. The main scope of our service is market entry support to enter into Japan, but not only by market researches or consulting, but by implementation. This implementation means, for example, business development and lead generation. And this is our company's strength. What we mainly do with this implementation is sales and marketing activities locally in Japan on behalf of our clients. So we work as if we are your local Japanese branch office. We currently have 30 staff and we have worked on more than 450 international projects since our company was established 17 years ago. Okay. Then this page shows logos of our past and current clients. As I explained earlier, we have clients of mainly European, American manufacturing companies and also governmental organizations. And industries of our clients are mainly industrial machinery, components, automotive, and we also have customers of consumer products as well. Okay, then from next page, my colleague Yasushi will explain the main topic of today's presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Takayama-san, for your
Mhm.
introduction.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yasushi Hasegawa, another co-founder of Fenetre Partners and the managing director. Uh, Thank you for your participation to our webinar today. Uh, it's a great pleasure for us to share our knowledge and insights about how to be successful in the Japanese market for a mid to large size companies. In the first session, I'd like to explain some difficulty about making a decision uh, about investment into Japan because of the high business costs. Uh, so let me start with some background related with the Japan economy and society. Probably some of you guys have some perception that Japan is a rich country. However, I have to say it was true, but now Japan is not a rich country. And also I have to say, you can see the population. Still, it's you know high population with high density in big cities, but we are losing 500,000 population every year, which means we are losing the number of consumers and workforce at the same time. Of course, it's not good for our economy. And the GDP is still big. However, last year, Germany took over Japan, and now it's ranked number 4 in the world. But I think it's still big. And GDP growth is here. Japan is on the recovery from the damages caused by COVID, as same as other countries. The figure seems somewhat high, but usually the growth rate of GDP is between 0 and 1%. So I can say it's stable, but you should not expect a big growth. And this is a shocking figure, GDP per capita. 20 years ago, Japan was ranked world number 2, but now we are ranked 30 something uh, in the same group with South Korea and Italy, maybe tier 5 group. And yeah, Japan was very successful in the last century. In 1980s, 90s, our economy was growing, but now we are getting poorer and poorer compared with other countries. And median age, it's getting close to 50 years old, the second oldest country next to Luxembourg. So those fears say Japan is not a attractive market. I have to say it's true. If you focus on the domestic market only. Uh, so, for example, if you are selling consumer products, uh, for example, luxury brands, Japan is not a good destination any longer. And this is a good example to explain our situation. In the past, uh, in early 1990s, uh, 8 million cars were sold annually. But now it dropped. It's getting close to half of the peak time. So this is the reality of the Japanese domestic market. I think it's a huge drop. However, Japanese automotive companies are quite doing well globally. So you can see the chart. So you can see domestic sales. Again, it's flat. However, same amount of car units are exported to other countries. And please see the overseas production, it's increasing. That data is somewhat old before COVID. So during the COVID, it dropped, but it's recovering now. And the total production is steadily growing. So this data says our domestic economy is not going well. However, big Japanese manufacturers are growing steadily by global expansion and export. So this is just one example, automotive, but you can see the similar situation in other sectors in advanced engineering field, like construction machinery, robotics, factory automation, medical device, or advanced material. There are a lot of big Japanese manufacturers steadily growing. So when you think about the Japanese market, uh, if you are selling industrial goods, let's focus on your potential customers in Japan, not focus on the domestic market. So this is the options of market entry mode. So on the vertical axis, you can see the degree of risk. And on the horizontal axis, you can see the degree of control. So usually, small to mid-sized companies expect to choose trade as the first option for market entry, especially to a small market. For example, you find a good local distributor, you just export your products to that country through that distributor, and your products are sold semi-automatically. I think that is the ideal case. However, this model uh, can work in only small market, like in Southeast Asia, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, because of the size of the market. But just having a local distributor usually doesn't work in big market, like Japan, of course, in the US, Europe, China, India. So probably uh, the big market requires some kind of investment. However, the option is a somewhat risky. Of course, you can get the high control, but it could be a big risk. And in a growing market, taking a risk may make sense for you, but Japan is not growing market. So in many cases, your perception is like this. Uh, I think many of you guys have some degree of business in Japan. I'm not sure if it's small or big, but we often encounter this type of company uh, who export through a local distributor, but sales is not growing. Their sales hit the ceiling, and they are thinking what they should do for the next step. But they may think, oh, we need to hire our local talents, which means we need to set up our own legal entity here in Japan, and but it requires a lot of money. So the reasonable growth might be the fact that we don't have a subsidiary in Japan. But the current sales revenue doesn't allow us to make a decision to invest in Japan. So it's like a loop or a chicken and egg issue. So this is a very typical situation of a foreign company who just export to Japan through a local distributor. Because uh, when you set up your own team in Japan with a company registration, you need to invest big money. So, and the difficulty of this high bar can be explained with some typical problems with just having a local distributor case. So usually in Japan, distributors have a long history and they have been selling hundreds of different products and they have no reason to focus on only your brand. And many of distributors have their own customer base. So, and they don't make investment for developing new customers usually. And so that many of them don't have a strong capability of marketing, including online. And salespeople from your distributor don't have enough time to study your products. So usually, especially at the beginning of your market entry, They don't have enough technical capability for technical discussion with the end customers, and also some technical services. And the biggest problems are they don't share the marketing information with you, and sometimes they don't allow you to meet end customers. They are very, conservative, and they like to hide important information. So this is the reason why you can't make a decision to set up your own Japan subsidiary. And the background of this situation can be explained with this framework. This is a life cycle or economic development stage. So in Japan, we experienced the economic growing stage in 1970s, 80s, 90s. And in 90s, our growth hit the ceiling. Now, many sectors have started shrinking. The typical example is like a department store. Now, the market size of a department store has been less than half of the peak time. So, and motorbike or boat, those segments are rapidly shrinking. So in the shrinking market or mature market, usually oligopoly has happened. In other words, the market is dominated by limited number of strong players, local players, and some global players. So the situation has been almost fixed. And this is the difference in the structure of distribution channel in growing market and mature market. Actually, Japan was like this 50 years ago. When I was a child, the size of companies are small and they are seeking a lot of opportunities. So the market is dynamic in such growing markets. Every year, new suppliers enter the market. Local company, American company, European companies, and many entrepreneurs start a new business as distributor or agent, and customers are also expanding their manufacturing facilities. And also it's changing. Some disappear, some are acquired. Every year it's changing. So which means at the growing stage, you have a lot of opportunities and also you have a lot of threats. However, the market is open to new players, new options. That's why you can easily have meetings with potential partners, distributors, customers. That is a situation. But after a few decades, the situation will be like this. The size of players have been bigger because of acquisition or organic growth. And through some competitions, distribution channels have been fixed, and some particular distributor sell to their existing customers only. For example, Mitsui distributor sells to Mitsui Group companies. That's it. Because selling to existing customers is much more profitable than developing new customers, especially in the mature market. Usually, distributors don't spend time for developing new customers. So this is the background of the passive attitude of your distributors in Japan. So i- they don't disclose the marketing information, so you don't know why your sales hit the ceiling. And of course, investing in Japan for setting up your own team is expensive, high risk, high costs. That's why you are thinking in a loop. This is a typical situation that I've seen. Uh, And now, let me explain about the cost estimation. Of course, the cost depends on the size of your Japan team. Uh, Let me start with the traditional case. Uh, Maybe it's possible for big companies like the company which has over billions of sales revenue annually. So the typical case is they send an expert as the managing director and hire business development manager technical support person, assistant, and sometimes hire some logistics guy or a salesperson, technical staff. So it requires maybe 1 to 2 million if you hire such big organization. Nowadays, small companies prefer small start case. Usually, when they register a legal entity here, the managing director is a sort of non-residential. So uh, the the person or director from home country will be a managing director and hire just one business development manager, and maybe he needs some assistant for sales support and admin. So let's think about the cost of this case. And this case would be maybe triple or 5 times bigger, I'm not sure. And this is our cost estimation for small start. But please understand, uh, this is a very thrift case. If I can help you to establish your subsidiary in Japan, you can uh, uh, you know, start with this kind of a small budget. But if you do it by yourself, probably your partners, like accounting firm, will be an international firm, famous one. So the whole cost will be much higher. So in this thrift case, let me explain some figures. So you need to pay company registration and pay monthly fee to accountant for uh, tax. And finally, at the end of fiscal year, you need to submit the tax report to the tax office. So you have to pay this kind of fees. And the office, probably for 2 people, maybe monthly cost would be 1,000, and office equipment, computers, printers, and bilingual sales manager who has some technical background or industry background. Probably at least you have to pay this level. And for assistant and bonus, usually a big company pays 2 months salary as bonus in summer and another 2 months in winter. So 4 months salary is a usual bonus amount. Uh, I think I calculated it a bit smaller. And the recruitment costs. If you ask a recruitment agency, you may need to pay 35% of annual income. And you need to pay 50% of annual income as social insurance. And the sales cost, the cost, probably the figure will be $250,000 at least. And again, if you make a big Japan team, it could be easily double, triple. So of course, this figure is almost nothing for a big company like tens of billions of annual sales revenue. But for SMEs, uh, it's difficult to make a decision. You cannot justify this investment without a decent level of sales revenue. So, by the way, most of our clients are uh, in the range between 10 and 100 million US dollars, sometimes 200, 300. But and usually, and they have covered 20, 30 markets, and it is difficult for them to justify spending this kind of investment only for Japan. So this is a typical situation that we have experienced. So if you think, or if you're in the loop of a problem of chicken or egg, I don't recommend you spend time, which is better, you just keep working together with the existing distributor, or you should set up your own Japan office. This kind of consideration would be a waste of time. So my recommendation is a step-by-step approach with utilizing some a sort of partnership or outsourcing. So in the next session, I'd like to explain some types of partnership for optimizing your business operation in Japan and also minimizing your business costs. So the first partnership model is for sales and marketing. So let me explain wrong expectation first. We often encounter a company which expect those things like end customers import directly. Unfortunately, they don't. And one distributor can cover all the industries and applications. It's possible in a small market like Malaysia, maybe. But in Japan, it's very difficult. Probably you need at least two or three distributors to cover whole Japan, whole industries. And some expect to find a sales agent working on commission base. I know this could be a very good option in some countries, but in Japan, the working culture is very conservative. Probably you had some HR terms like lifetime employment or seniority wage. So many people prefer working for the same employer for 40 years. So this is a typical perception of Japanese business people, and that's why it's very difficult to find an independent sales rep here. I know there are millions of sales reps in the US or manufacturer reps, but it is difficult to find a sales agent here. And some companies consider headhunting from a local competitor, Japanese company, but you will face a problem. For example, if you try to headhunt a guy at the age of 45 years old, he usually says, "Hey, I still have 20 years guaranteed by the current employer. Do you do the same?" Of course, you say no. Uh, so this is a very tough problem uh, caused by the lifetime employment system in Japan. So if your competitor, American competitors or European competitors are here in Japan, probably headhunting from those companies would be possible. But I think you have to pay a very big money. And when you think about some marketing, PR or ads, digital marketing, uh, mid to small agencies don't have English speakers because they only work for Japanese small companies. And of course, big agencies have English speakers. But some of my friends said uh, a few million budget is too small. So, which means uh, they ignore inquiries from SMEs. So this is another problem when you do some marketing campaigns in Japan. And uh, on e-commerce sites, uh, probably you can upload your product listings with the support from a translator, but you have to keep updating your listings and also responding to inquiries. So that's require a lot of work by staff who speaks Japanese. So our recommendation about solution is the first, you develop multi-distributors and you hire a marketing and sales rep. So this is a typical situation. You work with a local distributor, but the market coverage of this guy is quite limited. So in this case, we usually recommend you develop another distributor or other distributors for covering different market segments. And also nowadays, digital marketing is becoming a powerful option. Japan has some very powerful e-commerce platform or some supplier database website like Monotaro or Epros. So you can sell through such websites to end customers. But the problem is, who does it? I think without a local person, you can develop more distributors and also you can't manage your product listings on such e-commerce sites. That's why we usually recommend you hire marketing and sales rep uh, for managing distribution channel and also developing new distributors and also visit the end customers for developing more contacts. At the same time, uh, manage e-commerce sites. And at the same time, this guy can manage Japanese website and also uh, implement some advertising or campaign with local agencies. So I think the total cost of here is much more cheaper than the case. You hire some digital marketing agencies in your home country, like in expensive place like in Switzerland. So this is the typical scheme that we recommend to our clients, mid-sized companies, industry players from North America or Europe. The next partnership is for import and logistics. Again, many of our foreign companies have wrong expectations like your customers import directly. And your distributor doesn't mark up a lot, even in the case the end customer was developed by yourself. So in this case, we recommend you hire IOR, import of record. So this is the case. You have your distributor and selling to customer A, but you found a customer B, maybe because of digital marketing or some trade show outside Japan. Uh, It could be possible. But if you sell through this guy, probably this distributor will mark up by 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. Of course, it depends on type of the products. So probably you think you like to directly sell to customer B. But again, Japanese customers usually don't import directly. They expect you sell through some importers. In this case, we recommend you hire importer of record who takes care of paperwork of import, and you directly ship, ship to customer B. And if needed, you can ask IOR to arrange warehouse to keep product stock. So this is the strong option to minimize your import and logistics cost to deliver your product to a Japanese customer. But then if your products are some supply or components parts and the distributor has many inventory, probably it makes sense for you to ask this guy to sell to this new customer. However, if it's a one-time shipment, like production equipment or uh, some inspection machinery, I recommend this scheme. You just sell to uh, uh, customer B directly and with support of IOR. And then next, this is a partnership for technical service. So actually, it depends on the strategy of your distributor. Some distributors focus on technical things. Sometimes the number of their technical people is more than salespeople. But some distributors have very limited number of technical people. Uh, it depends. And in some cases, we recommend you hire a service company. But the problem is many service company, especially small to mid-size, located uh, outside the big cities, don't have English speakers. So in this case, we recommend you hire a technical sales rep working on the ground in Japan. So this is a scheme. Your company, again, work through, uh, deliver through the distributor to your customers in Japan. And you can hire a service company who uh, provides services to your customers. Of course, you can have a direct communication. Uh, in English nowadays, emails or technical documents can be translated by AI easily. So the situation is getting more convenient. However, it could be a risk because some aspects might be lost in translation. So we usually recommend you hire a technical sales rep who manage a service company or help service company to provide technical services to customers appropriately. At the same time, this guy can help distributors on their technical discussion with their end customers. So uh, this is a very uh, practical model on the technical side. And this is a partnership for administration in the case you register your company or subsidiary in Japan. And those are some typical mistakes I've encountered. Sometimes a foreign company hire an administration manager or general manager at the beginning for a small team. But I think uh, it's too much because one administration manager can manage, take care of 10, 20 people. But again, Japan is not growing market. Probably the size of your Japan team could be 20, 30. So in this case, hiring such expensive guys at the beginning is too much, too expensive. And the problem is a rent of office. Uh, Usually, you are required to pay big deposit, like 12, 12 months, maybe in Tokyo, 10 to 12 months would be average. I think my company had to pay 12 months. And also 2 month fees need to be paid to a real estate company. So that's why we usually recommend when you set up your own subsidiary in Japan, you should outsource administrative tasks such as accounting, payroll, HR administration, and I recommend you have your space in incubation office or shared office. Actually, some famous global players have many offices in Japan, like WeWork, Regus, but I think they are too expensive. So you can find more thrift case. And this is a partnership for manufacturing. As far as I know, Japan is not a destination for manufacturing because of the high business costs so far. But recently, we got an inquiry from one of our clients who is a chemical producer in the US. And now his company is facing the high tariff caused by the trade war between the US and some particular countries. So you have some risks. If you make in the US and export to many customers in China, you need to start something new. And on the opposite direction, if you make in China and export to the US, also you need to start consideration about the location of your manufacturing. And the right solution would be outsourcing some processes like assembling to a factory in Japan or Taiwan who may not impose counter tariff. Japan cannot say no to the US. So probably our government doesn't make a decision to impose a counter tariff. And licensing could be another option. Uh, you make in Japan, or you ask a Japanese company to make in Japan for exporting to your customers in China at the same time to develop the Japanese market through that licensing partner. So it's still uncertain when the trade war ends, but let's see in the in the coming few months. If you uh, think the trade war wouldn't finish, probably you need to explore some options to avoid tariff war. So now I've already explained the typical model of partnership and outsourcing for optimizing your operation in Japan and also business costs. Now I'm going to explain some case studies that we have experienced. The first one is maybe I can say the failure case. The client is a European production equipment manufacturer, and they've had only one big customer in Japan, and they are earning some service fees and some sales of selling some supplies, and they expect to increase their customer base in Japan. In the case, they have their own team in Japan, and they made a decision to set up their Japan-owned subsidiary and hire a general manager. And our company supported their market entry. Of course, we said, why you hire the general manager at the beginning? But they did. And they sent an expert, business development manager. He's a German who doesn't speak Japanese at all. And they headhunt technical support guy. Actually, this guy performs very well. I think this headhunt is a success case. I think they hired a guy who is just before the retirement of his past employer, and successfully they hired this guy. And at the same time, once because they have established their own entity in Japan, they terminated the distribution contract with the existing distributor, who has capability of some technical things. Their product is a production equipment, so this kind of settings is necessary. Uh, but they thought business development team can perform better than their existing distributor. And then our client realized those two guys are underperforming. Finally, two people left. And then they come to us again. Uh, so, uh, so for me, it seems, luxury because two administrative people are supporting one technical support. And my suggestion is probably you do liquidation of your Japan subsidiary and dismiss those people because they are too much. And our firm hire a salesperson separately and also have some business contract with your technical support guy. So that is our proposal, but th- they decline our proposal, unfortunately. Probably now they are running with this model and also maybe searching sales staff. So if you make a decision to hire a general manager or company registration at the beginning of market entry, uh, you may face this kind of situation. So I like to say you have to be somewhat careful with your decision of investment. And this is some success case. This client is providing components to advanced engineering sectors. The client has been working together with the distributor for 20, 30 years to marine industry. But they know the size of construction machinery in Japan is bigger than marine, but this distributor cannot reach this target segment. And they made the decision to hire technical sales rep, our office, and our staff develop the customers in the construction machinery segment. And actually, it took several years to develop three major OEMs from four big companies. And, and then the client made a decision to set up their own subsidiary in Japan in our office address. So we still taking care of their staff inside our office. So this is our very good success case. They start with outsourcing model with low risk, and finally they have set up their own Japan office with hiring local talents. And this is another case study for analytical instruments company from Europe. We have worked on distribution channel strategy planning, also digital marketing. So the client has a few distributors selling through some market segment A, and they hire us as a marketing and sales rep. And our first job is evaluating their existing distributors. Uh, some performs so-so, and some performs very badly, and we analyze their situation and potential as well. And also, we are developing new distributors to reach another market segment. And also, we are exploring opportunities in e-commerce or digital marketing. Then hire a website developer to prepare their Japanese website and also advertise on Google and Yahoo Japan with support of as agencies. So recently, this kind of model has increased in the past 2 years. So nowadays, most of our projects include digital marketing because it's more efficient to generate new leads. And this is a case of IOR. Uh, our client is some supplier of merchandise to a theme park. So the client is in Europe and they are supplying to customer A theme park. And that theme park opened in Japan several years ago. And they asked our client to supply their merchandise, same design, to Japan. But customer A doesn't import. So that uh, they hired us as IOR, and we just take care of paperwork, and our client directly ship to a customer A in Japan. So I think we charge just 10%. And the percentage could be much lower if the volume of transaction is bigger. Uh, in this case, actually, the merchandise is a case of beverage with some characters, uh, which means the product must be inspected by the certified research company. That's why it takes a lot of work when we import such products to Japan. And that's why we charge 10%, but probably the percentage could be much lower for simple products or high volume of transaction. And the last case is incubation office and administration. So this is a American company of production equipment. So they wanted to register their own legal entity in Japan, but they have no idea how to do that. And our proposal is like this. So they register their Japan subsidiary in our office space. Actually, our office has a small space for having several people. So And we support some administrative things, accounting, payroll, recruitment, and also provide some office services and give them some business support about important logistics so that the company can hire a business development person who focuses on their customers. And finally, they have hired 5 people, including one administration staff who took over our role. It took 18 months to establish their operation in Japan, and then they went out from our office. So I think this is another successful case of incubation. Usually, we don't recommend you immediately register your legal entity here, but in some cases, you need to register. Uh, like in the case, you need to get the certificate. For example, in the past, we worked for a solar company who purchased land and the certificate of some solar plant, and purchase the equipment and combine it. And finally, they sell that mega solar plant to other customers. In this case, they need to get the certificate. That's why we recommend they register their own legal entity in Japan. So it depends on your business model and the type of products. So I've explained the typical model and the case studies, and in the last session, I would like to give you some wrap up. So again, it is very difficult to make a decision to go across a high bar. Probably it's not easy to persuade your management team to justify the big investment for setting up your own Japan team, especially at the beginning of market entry. So that's why we recommend step-by-step approach with utilizing some types of partnerships and outsourcing. And this is our approach, but I need to explain the traditional one. Uh, Actually, this approach is originally designed for big company. They do market research. Maybe they hire a famous research firm like Euromonitor with paying a quarter million or half million, and hire a consulting firm like McKinsey with paying 1 million. Company registration, hire many people. Only big companies are allowed to do that. But many of our clients are sort of small to mid-size. That's why we recommend this approach, sort of test marketing. So you do business development and strategy planning at the same time on outsourcing base. So usually we have a contract with our clients uh, for 6 months as a first contract period. We do translation, develop Japanese website, and of course, we request our client to provide a product training, and we visit potential distributors, potential customers, generate leads, and finally, we set up a strategy and business plan based on the actual response from the market. And so the output of this 6 month project is a plan, many prospects, and some material. I think this kind of approach is a good fit for mid-sized companies, I believe. And sorry, our service fee is very reasonable, like several $1,000s per month. The reason is most of our people are not young. We usually hire people at the age of over 60 years old who retired a big Japanese company or global company. In this case, uh, they've already received a big retirement allowance, and also many of them have started receiving pension from the government, so they don't need to work for money. So that's why their salary is not very high. So at the same time, their motivation is not money. So they like to contribute to some international experience. uh, businesses with their clients. And that's why their motivation is pure and their performance is very productive. And of course, many of them have been working in a particular industry like robotics or automotive. So they know the industry and they have great network. So this is the reason of our very reasonable our service fees and high performance. And this is our services. Again, we recommend a step-by-step approach. If you don't have any sales in Japan, probably you should start with business matching for finding the best distributor for you. It could be a good market experience at the beginning. Then you can hire us as marketing rep, sales rep for developing more customers. And once your sales reaches some decent level, you can make a decision as the next step, like setting up your own Japan office. Of course, we can provide a wide range of administrative things. So this is the last slide. So textbook of marketing says you should design your value chain, your final version. I know it's a good approach for big company, but for mid-sized companies, I would like to recommend you should start one by one. For example, you find a distributor first, then you hire a sales rep with support from headquarters, or and for technical support, you hire technical sales rep and also a service company, but the control should be done by agent headquarters. So you should consider step by step based on the progress of your business in Japan. That's why it's easier to persuade your management team to make a decision of a small size of investment step by step. So this is the end of my presentation today. So I hope you have some insights to optimize your business operation in Japan and also maximize your profit and minimize your costs as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Yasushi, for your presentation. And during the presentation, we've just got one question which I've already answered. Maybe it should be interesting to share this question. And also, we are happy to answer to your question. So please post your question if you have using the Q&A panel. Okay, so the question which we got during the presentation was, what do you think of hiring a translator who works parallel with a non-Japanese technical expert? Would the Japanese client have a problem with the meeting that includes translator? Or is it much better to have a Japanese speaking technical expert? So I answered that it's better to have a Japanese speaking technical expert in Japan because he can accumulate the knowledge as he works for the client. And if we work with a translator every time with a meeting, maybe Japanese customer might not feel comfortable. So, but maybe what do you think, Yasushi, about this question?
Uh, Actually, we've seen many expats working here, but I don't think it's not necessary to send your expat to Japan, first of all, uh, because expensive, but not easy to work on the ground. So, but if you've already sent an expat to Japan, I recommend you hire someone speaking both Japanese and English.
Okay, thank you. And we haven't received other question, but maybe I can ask you a typical question, which we often receive from other American or European clients. So, does hiring an American or European person who speaks Japanese work for business development in Japan?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Okay. So, does hiring an American or European person who speaks Japanese
Ah, okay.
work for business development in Japan? I think this is quite typical question which we
Yeah.
have received.
Of course, speaking Japanese uh, would be better than non-Japanese speakers, but our business culture is very conservative, and especially in front of a foreigner, they will be too much polite, and they do a lot of sugar coating. They smile to you in any cases. Hello, thank you. Even in the case you speak Japanese, because they look like foreigner. So I don't believe foreigners can perform very well in Japan. But of course, there are some exceptions. Uh, my friends have a salesperson, Chinese, and he speaks Japanese like a native speaker, and he looks like a Japanese. So in that case, there's no problem.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you very much. Then we additionally got three additional questions. Maybe Yasushi, you can
Yeah.
also check it. First question is, when searching a local distributor in Japan, what ways are common, or do you suggest to find a suitable distributor?
Actually, there are some website of industrial associations or some industrial directories. You can search such web page and check a Japanese company one by one. Probably you can easily translate such information into English or your mother language easily on Google, and you can make a long list. And but the problem is it takes a lot of time if you don't have any knowledge about the Japan industry. And another problem is you should not send an email in English, and also you should not make a
Mm,
call in English. It's just surprising Japanese company. So probably
that's
you
true.
need to hire someone, your friend, student, consulting firm like us, whatever. You need someone working on the ground in Japan.
Okay, thank you very much. And two more questions. Regarding a European speaking Japanese, regarding a European who speaks Japanese, is it a big problem if the Japanese is not keigo or polite Japanese, but just basic informal Japanese? Will that be enough to do business?
I'm sorry for the very complex our language. Uh, yes, uh, formal expression is required,
Mm,
especially when you meet with a big audience like five people. Sometimes many people join the conference, and if you speak a very informal way, probably they feel uncomfortable.
yeah, that's true. Thank you. And the last interesting question. I hear quite a bit of negative realities about Japan market from the presentation. Shrinking market, high hurdle, complicated value chain, rigid, outdated business
Okay.
model. So why is Japan still attractive for us to consider?
It depends on the type of products that you are selling. Again, big Japanese manufacturers are growing steadily. They are big. And also, they are long-term oriented, which means once you get the business from big Japanese companies, you can benefit the long-term relationship with your Japanese customer for a few decades, maybe. So that is the biggest benefit for you. But again, it depends on the type of your products. Actually, one of our clients spent 5 or 6 years to get the first sales in Japan. And in the 8 or 9 years, they reach a break-even point. And now, they are in their 11th year of their market entry to Japan. And now their sales is, uh, growing steadily. So, and I believe their sales keeps growing in the coming decade. So if you have a long-term perspective, definitely Japan is a good market. But if you are working like dog years. You need to make results in every quarter. I don't recommend Japan.
Mm,
It takes too much time.
that's true. Okay, so thank you very much. So I think we have answered all the question, but if you have other additional questions, please, maybe you can send email to Yasushi. Then, and also now, it's already time to close our webinar today. So we'd like to thank you very much again for your time to join our webinar. And please feel free to contact us by email if you have questions about business in Japan or reserve online separate meeting with us. Or if you'd like to receive today's presentation, please send an email to Yasushi. And we are very much looking forward to receiving a message and answer to your question. Okay, again, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope to work together with some of you guys in the near future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you and bye bye.じゃあ、お疲れ様です。
あ、
です。はい、いい
何し
ですかね。
てるあ、お疲れ。
はい。じゃあ、すみ
うん
ません。お疲れ様です。失礼します。あ、坂田さんいらっしゃいます。お疲れ様です。